Hello. Good evening. Welcome. My name is Kwabena. I want to share with you tonight what I've termed structure beyond being self-employed. Structure beyond being self-employed. Um, a lot of us who start business, a lot of us have created something that has given us a job. You know, we instead of us being employed by somebody, we have managed to create something we call a business, and is the only person that, or we are among the people that business has employed. Usually, when you meet people and you're in conversation, what you hear is that they ask you, what do you do? And then you say that, oh, I have a business. And the next thing they say is that, I want to be self-employed. There's nothing like having your own business and controlling your own time. So to majority of us, what we understand by being in business is really creating an employment for ourselves, creating a job for ourselves. And that's what most of us know. But what I have seen, what I have recognized is that when you create the business from the beginning, it will be you would have to be involved. You would have to be fully employed by that business, and your time, your resources, everything that you have would have to be would have to be invested in the business, and that becomes a big challenge for most people because majority of us, if it's our first business, is the first thing that we are doing. We built the business with us as the central focus. We are the main thing that the business revolves around, and so many people will not be able to evolve in terms of mindset, in terms of skill, in terms of disposition to go beyond just having created a business that has employed us to it being a business that maybe can survive in your absence. And I think it's a tough one, and it takes a lot of effort for you to even get close to creating something that may survive a day or two or three or four or even months or years without you ordering yourself to be present. And so, structure, when you are an entrepreneur, when you're a business person, structure your thought, structure your thinking. See it as a journey that you're going to take, where you are building something that may eventually would have to survive, would have to live, would have to move on without you being so much involved. uh, Most people will know employment. If you look at our school, if you look at our training, if you look at the kind of things that we go through, majority of the things that they do to us in terms of academics, from the exam to the teachers, what they admire, what they see. If your child is doing well in school, the teacher will tell you that the child has prospects. Your child, the future of your child is bright because that child is doing well in school. So if that child is not doing well in school, on the other hand, it will mean that that child has not no better future. That way, when they say that, what they really mean is that that child will be able to become a good student, have some grades, and obviously have a good job somewhere or have a good employment. When the teachers are saying that, they don't mean that your child will be able to shift from just coming from an employee's kind of thinking to becoming a business creator or an employer. So the prospects, the best that your child teacher, or maybe your teacher told you, was that you were a student who had a future because you were good. You were getting the A's and the B's. You were the first 10. You were in the first 10 of your class. And those are the things that build this kind of struggle where we are not able to move from just thinking as an employee, or sometimes even if you start a business, we still think like an employee kind of thing, or just stay with being self-employed or becoming a consultant, than entering into the structure of business where your focus of building is more of uh, building it beyond you and the need of you. So what we hail, what we appraise of growing up, is more of the job. Is more of the job. And I dare say that our country, I mean, if you go to school, what they have programmed you 90%, 95% of the time, they have programmed you to look for a job, to look for a job, to become an employee. That's what they have programmed us. Very few people will be able to shift to the next level, which is trying to do something for themselves, trying to self-employ. So you have some trading shop, you have some consultancy, you have some accounting firm that you do something somewhere small for yourself, because mainly what we really want, what we are really applauded, what we are really appreciated for, is when we have been able to secure a job with very good additions. So you become a director of a government institutions. They give you a house, they give you a car, they give you a maid, they pay you per diem, those things. For most of us, as a former colony, as an evolving economy, as an African country, the things that we praise are not the things that are beyond being self-employed. They are not beyond being self-employed. So you have to structure. If you start a business, every one of us will start a business, especially if it's the first business that you're doing, and you're doing it without that much money. You are doing it without that much exposure, that much scale, that much network. You are the one going to start that business, and obviously you become the first employee of that business. Majority of us will start that business, and it is seen as you have started a business and you have been self-employed. Most people, when they refer to entrepreneurship, they just think that it's just you being able to employ yourself. Maybe it is part of it, but in its uh, you know strictest definition, it's a move from just being self-employed to building a structure that is able to commercialize an idea, monetize a product, being able to build some system around it, and employing people, and that then happens to even work with your least supervision, with the least supervision from you. Eventually, that is the goal anyway. Or with your absence, the thing is able to run without you being present. And it takes a lot of effort to move through the terrain, to move through the stages, to get to a stage where you have been able to structure the business. So sometimes you can meet somebody who's been doing business for years, and you can see that that person has not been able to structure that business beyond just them being self-employed in that business. So they say that they are not employees, but the thing is that they are, and the only thing that is separating them from the other one is because this employment that they have created, they created it for themselves. But I think that entrepreneurship starts from that, but it doesn't end there. It really ends in the structure, in the structure level. So you have to think beyond just the business that you have started, that you're working there. Your friends, you're talking to your friends and they tell you that, oh, you know, I work in this bank, I work in this bank. Then they will tell you that Some of us, we envy those of you who have been able to employ yourself. So to them, they think that is just self-employed. But the real idea is that when you start that business, when you're doing that business, you are building the skill to create employment, to solve problems, to create employment. And most business people, that is their joy, to be able to move beyond themselves. And the training that we have had makes it difficult for us to even break to the self-employed state. It's so difficult. Majority, 90%, I dare say, we've been programmed to only look for a place to work, let alone get to the stage where you are able to, even start something and employ only yourself. So how come how can you also think beyond just employing yourself to saying that I've become somebody who's been able to create businesses that are employing people? It's so maybe we take it bit by bit, but you have to understand that there are structures and there are stages, and being self-employed and becoming an entrepreneur, I dare say there are commonalities in them, but there are also vast differences in them. And it starts with the way you think, the way you process, what information that you have had, the training that you have had, the difference that you know. They are very much important in helping you to understand that there's somebody who has been employed by somebody, and there's another person who has employed himself. And usually the one who has employed himself thinks that he's not an employee. You're an employee in your own organization. You may be put I mean, a lot of people, majority of the businesses that we have are businesses that are what they call small and medium scale businesses. That's how it starts. But you should also know that if you start like that, there is a whole world that is waiting for you, whole world of skill that you have to acquire, whole world of thinking that you have to acquire. There's a shift. So it's not that easy for somebody to shift from directly from just being an employee to being an employer. It takes a lot of effort, and in between is where most people will start. Somewhere we say, let's say some accountant somewhere. Usually they will never structure. When they open an accounting firm and they employ themselves, they get some boys somewhere to help them, and then they start to look for people's books to help them to clean them and work on their financials for them. The same accountant can structure that accounting firm that he opens, where he starts to employ other accountants. He builds a whole business structure, a whole business that can run without him, or maybe or with less need of him, where people can do what he does. But the benefit or the advantage that he gets is that he's been able to create this thing they call business, which is able to run with all the other things involved. So you can meet somebody like an engineer. Most engineers, maybe he's a quantity surveyor or is a structural engineer. Usually what they form is the consultants. They form a consultant and they supervise people's. Most of them, they have to be there themselves, they have to do everything themselves, and they have to just get 2 or 3 people to help them. At that point, it's just stuck with being self-employed. There's nothing wrong with that, but you just have to know that if you're self-employed, what you're doing is that you're trading your time, you're trading your resources. If you don't go, nothing moves. That's the stage, and it's a stage. If that is the stage that you're comfortable, that your preparation can handle, no problem with that. But you should know that for it to become a proper business, there's a lot that we have got to learn from just being self-employed and getting to a stage where you employ a lot of people, or you employ people and you pay them for their expertise, for their time that they spend in the business. And hopefully you're able to build the business to a stage where they don't even need you, where you can travel for weeks, for months, and that business can still run. There are a lot of people who have, let's say, shops in town, that whenever they are traveling anywhere, they have to close it because they don't have anybody there to help them, or they don't even trust the 1 girl or 2 people who work there. Why? It's because they have not been able to think through how to structure the business beyond themselves being the employee of that business that they have created. You know, that they have created the job for themselves. And I think that there's a difference, and it's coming from the way business was introduced to us, and what we give attention to as a people, as a nation. If you meet your friend who is receiving salary somewhere, and you have created a business that you're employing, let's say 20 people, 30 people, 50 people, 100 people, your friend still thinks that you're in the same kind of category in terms of even in terms of revenue, in terms of money. It's amazing that he is waiting to be employed at the end of the month, and a lot of people are waiting for you to pay them at the end of the month, and they still think that you can carry the same kind of stress, the same kind of financial matters, you know. So people can ask you, do you think that if I stop that business, if I stop that employment, you know, they are paying me 5,000 Ghana cedis a month. You know, it's a lot of money. And he's asking his friend who is paying people, maybe that person is paying 50,000 a month on salary. But because of our understanding, because of how we see business, we think that if somebody is in business, it means that he has employed himself. That's the basic definition that a lot of people have. You know, that's why when you have been in business and you are evolving, they can still tell you that, why are you worrying yourself? Why don't you go and look for another job somewhere? Because they think that your art of going through the stages to building a business is just to employ yourself. And that is the separator. It's not the same. You go through the stages to get a skill so that you can create more jobs and more employment for people, you know. And so, but if you cannot think beyond just being self-employed, you have to think beyond just you being the first employee, and you have just created a business only for yourself. You have to think beyond that, and you have to know that for you to get to that level where you have created something beyond you, there are a lot of other things that you must know, and there is a shift of mind that you must have. If you can cook, or if you can let's say prepare cake, or you can, you know, some of the things that people do, it does not mean that you'll be able to build a business around it. The first that you can do is possibly maybe do something and employ yourself in that, so you become self-employed. You know, so instead of somebody employing you to pay you, now you have become self-employed. The danger is that whether somebody is paying you or you are paying yourself, you trade every time that you have to get any money. You trade every time that you have to get any resources. So if you see a doctor who has opened his own clinic, for instance, or his own hospital, and he's the main doctor there, between him and being employed by another hospital is the same. It's the same, because if he doesn't go, nothing comes in. If he does not move, nobody works. He's probably even afraid of employing even an assistant or a secretary. So he has to be there all by himself. Now, that is more even dangerous than somebody employing you. That is more even dangerous than somebody employing you. Why? Because you take a lot of load, you take a lot of stress, but the advantage of you learning the processes of business and learning to move and structure, you know, learning to structure beyond you being self-employed, is that you start to get the skill, and you start to trade, you start to use the you know, the skill that you have to employ people, for them to use their expertise, for them to use their time, you know, for them to be paid by you. You're helping them, but now the revenue that is going to come from your business is not going to come because you have to work for it to come. You know, there are other people who have come on board to help the company to grow. So now, if you are spending 8 hours and you have, let's say, all alone, if you're spending 8 hours to work, let's say you have 10 workers. Now it's no more 8 hours, and if you don't go, nothing moves. Now you have 10 people working with you, which means that if everybody is spending 8 hours now, it means that you have 80 hours, because of what you have taught yourself. You are creating something beyond being self-employed. So when you're thinking of working beyond self-employed, being self-employed as a business person, as an entrepreneur, it means that now you are seeing the need of people coming in and of course they will be paid, but they are coming in to do more than what you alone can do. That is how you start to think beyond just being self-employed. So when people are talking now, the skill that you need to structure beyond being self-employed is different from just being self-employed, because now you're employing people. And once you're employing people, if let's say you are baking bread, for instance, before maybe it's you alone, so you have to get up early in the morning, 5 a.m. You are doing all those things that they do to prepare bread, and you can exhaust all your life. You can exhaust, you get tired, you work throughout the day, you go to the market yourself, you do everything all by yourself because you've just started it. It's small. Now the danger is that some people will start that and they do the same thing for years. Yes. So they don't come to a stage where they get to the next level of trying to get hands to come and help the person. So the moment you start to get hands to come and help you, the skill then goes beyond just being able to bake that bread, go through the processes of making bread. But now you have to get the skill also to be able to manage the people who are coming in with their time and their resources. And then you have to do more, because you can only do more when a lot of people come to join you. So if you structure beyond the self-employment, it means that you are looking at growth, you are looking at growing, you are looking at expanding, you are looking at becoming big. And that's where you start to see the benefit of your sweat. People who are not able to make much, or to make a lot of allowances, and let's say make a lot of money or wealth and solve a lot of problems with the businesses that they start, is because they got stuck with their self-employment. They got stuck at that stage. You cannot grow if the business, you are the only person in it. If everything has to be done by you, you cannot grow. And you cannot leverage the pain and the stress. You cannot leverage all the sweat that you have had. It's only when you start to expand and grow, and you grow with people coming in on board, and that requires different kind of skill set, to be able to move to structure beyond the self-employment. So even trying to start a business, we think and we worry about it. How much more thinking beyond just being employed and becoming an employer and thinking like a business person, like an entrepreneur. It's very difficult for a lot of people. Very difficult for. So the closest a lot of people will come, is just when they talk of entrepreneurship or they talk of business, the closest a lot of people come is they just say that, oh, I have opened a boutique, and that is what I'm doing, and I have one worker there, and that's all. So everything must come through them. They have to make every decision themselves. They have to do everything themselves. If they are sick, the business is going down, nothing moves. Those are the things that you start with. But after 5 years, after 6 years, after 7 years, after 10 years, you cannot get stuck up in that kind of stage. If you do that, you will not be able to benefit from the pain of starting a business with an idea. And so one of the things that you can do to move and to take advantage of all the hustling, because we call it hustling. You hustle to build up an idea, and usually it's you, because the idea, um, before there was a business that employed somebody, you were there, and that is that business. You were the first person that business employed. But you have to get to a level where it gets beyond the hustling, and it has to be a total mental shift, where you start to see that, listen, if I'm going to go to build a business that can grow, yeah, I must think beyond just myself and one person helping me. You must think. And it's very inconvenient at the beginning, where now somebody else must also make a decision. And whether you like it or not, your decision, good or bad, if it's bad, you are responsible. And your ability to go beyond being able to employ people, trusting them, developing them, and sometimes even letting them handle things that ordinarily you will not let anybody handle. is a proof that you are structuring beyond you being just self-employed. And that is why they have a lot of small businesses all over, or what they call small or medium size businesses, because we find it difficult to structure beyond the being self-employed. So a lot of people who are calling themselves business people, really are just employed, because they have to spend all their time. They have to make every decision themselves. Everything that goes on, they have to be the one making that decision. It means that we have a job, but the only thing is that we have a job that we created. So we are our own boss, as they say it. But if you want to go to the next level of that, then you have to think of how to go to that level, how to structure to that level. And to get to that level, you see the need to grow, see the need to employ people, you see the need to shift from just being, there's a mindset of an employee, there's a mindset of somebody who has employed himself, and there's a mindset of somebody who is creating employment. They are not the same. It's a whole different set of thinking for somebody to just be an employee in an organization, and that's nothing wrong with that. And there's another set, or you can see when somebody is employed in an organization, how they think, the things that are important to them, the things that they look for. You can see that when somebody is also self-employed, the things that they can look for, the things that are important to them. You can see it by the way their choices, their behavior. If somebody else also goes beyond just being self-employed to building and structuring a business, you can see how they talk, how the things that are important to them, the things that they look for, they are different things altogether. To the one who is employed in a company, he's working, and at the end of the month he must be paid, and so he doesn't worry about the troubles, where the money is and where the money is not. They don't really care about it. They just have to work, and they work with the hours that they've been told, and at the end of the month they must be paid, whether the business made profit or the business does not make any profit. That is not their case at all. Whether the business is going into bankruptcy or it's not going into bankruptcy, that is not their case. You told them that they should work, and they have worked, and you must pay them. And they always they don't want to lose their job. They are always talking about, I don't want to lose my job. This is the job that I'm doing to take care of my family. So I'm very much important. The job is, and they look for, they constantly talk about their salary and its increment and all other things that comes with the privilege of working. So those are the people who are always looking for better package. They're looking for the next person, the next company. If they pay a little more than what he's getting here, then he moves. That is, a typical scenario of somebody who's employed and who is looking for their salary. There is another one, which is the self-employment. The self-employed person thinks that he is the best person. He knows everything, and if they are doing something, they don't really believe that another person can do it well. They don't like, trying to partner with people to do anything. They don't like that. They trust themselves, and they don't seem to trust the intelligence of another person. They seem to be close up, on a lot of ideas. They have the thing that can explode, but they keep it to themselves. They want to own the whole thing. So it's small, and they have the 100% they're very happy with. They don't want to be, they don't want trouble, they don't want disagreement, they don't trust anybody, they don't want to, worry themselves with the next employee coming in, training people. No, if they have to prepare that, if they have to build that project, they are the one in front. They have to make every decision. They don't allow people to make any decision. It's a skill set, it's a mindset, it's another state of being. And there is another one who is typically what I call entrepreneurs, what I call people who believe in syndication, who believe in partnership, who believe in owning a bit of something that another person, even if they have 2% of something and it's big, they are ready. And these are people who share ideas. They look out for the best in people. They are always looking at how can we develop together? How can we build together? How can we expand? How can we grow? I don't have to be there for it to work. Somebody else can be there for it to work. These are the kind of people who have gone beyond just being self-employed, So there is difference. There is difference. So a majority of entrepreneurs have employed themselves, and they find it difficult to go to the next stage where they can be at a lot of places and never worry about. The thing is, if you have to be there to, let's say, work maybe to get 100,000 revenue, the self-employed person will want to be there to make all the 100,000 themselves. Now, for them to structure to go beyond that, somebody must help him to shift the thinking, and that means that the same person can get the 100,000 or even better, but this time around he doesn't have to be there to make the sales. He can employ somebody else and build the business around that person and pay them, and still. So then the more you're growing, if you're self-employed and you're growing, you see that your time is so limited, you're exhausted, you feel stressed. That's why you can see somebody who has built businesses in Makola or in another place, but once the business is growing, they're exhausted, they get tired, they get to their 50s, they're exhausted, they have to do everything themselves. And maybe they have an uncle, they have a niece or nephew to help them, or the son or daughter to help them, but they have never tried trying to employ people they don't know, train them, give them assignment, give them targets, pay them salary. A lot of them have never gone through that kind of thing before. They pay your salary, I pay your SNET, I employ you, I don't know you anywhere, I just posted an advert. A lot of them cannot see themselves going to that level. Why? Because they can never shift. Maybe they have not looked at shifting the mind to beyond being self-employed. So they have a business, but it really is just, it becomes a pain at a point, because every business must grow, and the business is going to grow. If the business is growing and you don't have free time, you have created something for yourself, and that eventually will exhaust them. So you can see that the lecturer is having what is it? Maybe they open a private school and they have to be there, or they say that they are maybe you're a teacher, you have part-time classes, and all the classes you have to go. So let's say you have 10 students, you have to go all alone. You go here, you go here, you go here, you go here. So every revenue that you get, you must be there yourself. If you don't go, they will not pay you. That is a typical self-employment scenario that you have. So they have to trade their time, they have to trade their knowledge, they have to trade their skill, and if they don't go, nobody will pay them. The other person who's been able to structure beyond the self-employment is that he probably has all these students, and he starts to call his friends to say that, let's say, handle these 2 students for me, you to handle these two students for me, you to handle. Before you see it, he's managing about 20, 30, 100 teachers who are each managing maybe 3 students. So he has maybe 300 students he's managing. The problem is not even managing any student directly, but he's managing the students, the teachers who can manage the students. So now he has an institution. That is somebody who has structured beyond just being self-employed. So he's looking at how somebody can work with their expertise, with their time, with their resources, and I pay them. I help them to create job, and I pay them. I don't have to be there. What I have to focus on is the structure, is the training, is to make sure that things are being done as is expected to be done. That is a skill, and I think that is rare definition of people who are building the skill to building businesses. For me, that is the rare entrepreneurship, where you are evolving not to manage yourself, but now you are evolving to manage people and to manage the resources and to manage systems and structures. And you have this openness of mind. You're open-minded. People with that kind of stature, what I've seen is that they have common belief that people can do good work if they are trained well. That's a common belief, and they don't believe that they have to do everything themselves. They believe that somebody else can do it as they can do it. That's a serious mindset. And they are not offended usually. They get to a state that they are not offended for them to be questioned. So it doesn't matter. Maybe your security man, you are discussing something, and he knows that this is something that this man, because of the kind of work that he does for the company, he knows it. So he's not going there to think that, oh, I'm the CEO of the company, so I must know everything. No, he will call the security guy, or he will call the mason to ask him, what do you think this has to be done? How do we do this? And he's ready to engage with people and discuss and come up with the best of solution. Those are the people who have structured beyond being self-employed. The self-employed guy knows everything. So he will not call the security man to ask him, what do you think of this? No, 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 no. He must know the answer by himself. That's somebody who's self-employed. And most people are like that. They're very expertise. They even find it offensive for them to show their ignorance to anybody, because they must know everything and they must know it. You cannot know everything to the depth. So you master what you can know. You start to learn about a bit of a lot of things, but then you know that when it comes to something, this is the person that you're going to call. So your real expertise, if you go beyond just being a self-employed, is when you start to know who to call to handle what. Because everybody comes with a certain network, a certain skill set, and you create opportunities for people. So when you have gone beyond being self-employed, and you have structured and you're thinking like a business person, you think systematically. You think with who can do what at what. You don't have to be there for the thing to be done. That's a skill. That's a skill. And that's why most people who are able to build businesses like that, that is what they master. They master. So they have eyes for talent. They know who can do what, and they don't get offended because they don't know. If you don't know, does not mean that somebody else in the network does not know. And so that is the kind of thinking. And those are the people. That's why it calls for good leadership skills for you to structure beyond the self-employment. For you to structure a business beyond being self-employed, you must have good leadership skills. You must know the ability to work with people, lead, set the vision, train people. You must know the ability to work with it. And that's the core of conviction. You are ready to share. You don't mind building a business and sharing it so that somebody else can bring in money and other network for the business to explode, because you think beyond just having a job for yourself. And that is a serious way of thinking. Very few people, most small business people, never think like that. They don't want to share anything with anybody because they don't want trouble. They don't want disagreement. They don't want pain. They don't want anybody else to caution them anything. Maybe it's the way to start, but you cannot grow a business being self-employed and you are the one to do everything. You cannot. Because how many hours do you have in a day? You have the same hours that everybody else has. How much can you do? Not much. But if you develop the skill to manage and to let others come in, then you can do a lot, because you are working with other people, and we are working with the vision. And the way I see it, because of the training and because of the things that we give a lot of attention to, most people are able to start something, but they are not able to structure beyond being self-employed. Most people are able to start something, but they cannot let it go. Hey, you want somebody else to handle that business for you? How? They will cheat you. They will lie to you. They will take your money. People are not programmed or are not cultured, or they think, and most people think that you have to be there to do it. You have to. This is a thinking. You have to be there to do it. If they are not the one doing it, nobody else can do it. That's a dangerous way of thinking, and that's why you get exhausted. So you can see the woman has done a lot of businesses. She has had a lot of money. She's built houses, but that's all there is. She doesn't have a structure. She doesn't have a team. She doesn't have a business. She has money. She has the sales, but that's all there is. If she's sick today, that's all. Nobody else can take it further. Why? Because everything was built around her. That's not how you waste your time building a business. You must know that there's something beyond just you creating a job for yourself. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about structure beyond the self-employment. Structure beyond being self-employed, because it's all disposition. It's a mental state. You must come to a stage where you know that you cannot do everything as a human being. Somebody else knows something that you don't know. And that's the essence of building a company, building a business. So you may have started the idea, you may have started the business, you may even have started with a partner, but you are not going to, you don't have to let the business kill you by trying to do everything. When after a stage, after time, after a stage, after a while that the business has picked and is making sense, the next stage of skill that you need is your ability to work and open up and let people come in, and your ability to identify talent and know who to work with and who not to work with, your ability to let go and to delegate and to assign jobs to people and supervise them to do the right thing without you being there every time. And that's how you learn how to create employment. And the culture does not support that. The culture does not support that at all. So it's difficult for most people to let go. For most people to let go is difficult. So they have to be present. The mistrust is so high. I think that is development. I think that is training. I think that you must shift your mind from just being employed and saying that you are the god of that business. Without you, nobody else can do anything. No, there are people that should be able to work with you, and they can do a lot without you being present. Then it means that you're thinking beyond being self-employed. So, but if your whole agenda is just to create a job for yourself, create a shop for yourself, and be there and never worry about employing anybody, that's your goal. That's fantastic. But for me, the rare kind of entrepreneurship skill that you need to build businesses, your ability. When they talk of entrepreneurs in certain areas, they talk of people who have evolved the skill to create employment, to solve business, to create business solutions. And usually it's not about them. It's about the number of people that they are employing, the opportunities that they are creating, direct or indirect, and that is a skill. But when we start something that we call business, it has to be us. We have to be there. So I open the shop, I have to be there. I go there morning, I come in the evening. I go there morning, I come in the evening. I can't even buy water to drink. I'm afraid that somebody else will steal my money, somebody else will steal my product. That is all. I have to be there constantly. If you're like that and you don't break it, you can never grow. You can never grow. You can never grow. You can never grow. You don't trust anybody. You don't build any system. You don't build any training. It's only you. And you think that you're doing business. No, that's where you have created job for yourself. So you and the other guy who is employed somewhere, the only difference is that you own the job and he is working at a place that somebody else owns it, but it's all job. And so when you are saying that, I have my business, that is not the business. It's actually the business has you. Because you cannot leave. You cannot leave the place for 1 hour. You are sweating. You think that somebody else will come and steal all the cement that you are selling. That is not a business. You have no idea what it takes to lift yourself beyond being self-employed, and that is not how you become great as an entrepreneur. No. So you have to practice that right from the beginning. You have to practice that right from the beginning. If you do that, yes, there will be shortfalls, there will be mistakes, there will be errors, people will cheat you, but that's how you become better. Because the whole idea of you committing to building a business, Black, you say what? The traditional psychological blueprint. Yes, that's what they told us, so we don't believe anybody. So I open a provision shop. I have to be there in the morning, open it, put a lot of padlock on it, have to rush my family to come and open it myself. And I can't even take time to drink. And there's a woman that we buy something from around our area. Every day that woman is working from morning to evening, exhausting herself, and she has done it maybe for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. Yes, for her maybe it's working, but if you think that you are going to build a business like that, you cannot. Even if you get money, you will trade your time and your health for that money. So you exhaust everything that you have to get money, and then by the time that you even think that you have the money, you are gone, because you were doing something that you thought was a business, but it was really a job that you have created for yourself. It was not a business. If it was a business and it's a typical entrepreneurship business, yes, you start like that, but after a while you start to look at who can come in to help me, who can come in to do this, who can come to do this, who can come in to do this. So then you even go beyond just handling the product or the service. Now your main duty is handling the people who are handling the product or the service. So you're providing leadership, you're providing vision, you're providing training, you're building structures, you're building systems that is beyond being self-employed. And it's a mental state. You have to have that conviction that this is doable, and that if it's a business that I'm building, it must go beyond myself. So I may have started it, but it's not that if it's a business, I must, the more the business is growing, the more I must also have time for myself. If you have really built it well, if it's growing, yes, there'll be issues every now and then, but you don't have to be everywhere. If you have to be everywhere, it's not a business, it's a job you have created, and there's not much you can do because you are doing it all alone. And the thing about it is that you will not, the earlier you start to develop that skill to work with people, good or bad, whether they are thieves or they are honest, to structure the business so that the business can run with a little supervision, or sometimes without you even being part. That is where you are starting to get to a stage that you have structured beyond employ, you know, you know, being employed. And so a lot of people say that they have started business, but it's really not. When you talk to them, that they are still in an employment state. Even though they have the shop, they are seeing money. They have the construction firm, but they are seeing the money. They have the. But you can see that the psyche is still not an entrepreneurship and an entrepreneur's psyche. It's more of somebody who has created a job for themselves because they are fear driven. They cannot close the place. They cannot put anybody there. They don't even know what to do to tune somebody. And they're always complaining that they will steal your money or they will do this. Yes, because you're not building any structure for people to work just as you will work. So and people panic, and you can see it. Go to the market and see. The woman has done the business for 30 years. And she has to come to the shop every day by herself. She created a business or she created a job for herself. Or the gentleman has done that. He's a mechanic, mechanic, and he has to be there every day. And it's one place, one spot. He has done it for 20 years. He could not open 3, 4, 5, 6. Why? Because he was afraid. He was afraid. And so he had created job. Instead of him working for another company, this one, he created this. And I think that if you're going to stay employed, self-employed all your life, then you're better off working with somebody. I think so, because the problems, the challenges are so many at the self-employed state. So there's no freedom. There's no freedom. There's no freedom. Your time is constantly, you are almost always under pressure because you have to do everything all alone. And if you think traditionally, just as Black said, then you cannot build. So you have to structure, and you have to know what it takes to structure. You have to know that you have to open your mind to dare to try, to dare to get people involved, to know who to engage and who not to engage. And it will take a lot of effort, to take a lot of mistakes, but you will get there because you must move to that stage if you really think that you are interested in building that thing into a business. So what you really then master will not be what the business is doing, but you master the structure that is running the business. Master the structure that's running the business. So you see all these guys, they have businesses everywhere and they are just living somewhere taking their tea. Dangote is in Ghana. I'm not sure that he's monitoring all the cement from the warehouse. No. He's built people, structures built, and that's what he has mastered. That's why he grew. There's another person who may have started with him who is still at the corner way because he cannot let another person sell any cement. No. He said, no, me, I don't trust anybody. The moment you say, me, I don't trust anybody, I will never leave anything to anybody. Nobody can do it better than I can do. Then go and get a job. Don't build a business. Because your ability to find talent is so crucial to the success that you're going to have as a business person. Because the success is in the structure. And so all that you're trying, everything that you're trying now is to find a structure that can run the business for you. Everything that you're trying now, So whether you've been in it for 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 6 months, that which you are really becoming, which is an advantage that will be difficult for another person to take from you. It's your ability to build the structure that can let people come in and go, people come in and go, and still continue to grow. That is the structure that you are finding. And that's how the business is going. So that one is difficult for that business to easily go down, no matter what anybody does. So even if you have a competition, your strength is not in the product. Your strength is in the structure that you have built, the culture that you have built, the people that you have trained, yourself, the psyche. And that is what it is. If you're just self-employed, another person will come. You open the barber shop there, and you are the one doing the barbering for 5 years. Before you see it, another person will come and open another barber shop, and you see it, they have taken all your contract. They have taken all the people. And hey, Dan, thank you. So before you see it, another person has come to take the thing from you, and then you're out of business. But if you open that barber shop, and you open another one, you open another one, you open another, you'll not be the one barbering now. You are mastering the management of those. So it's difficult for somebody to just take one. Even if the one competes and one collapses, you have another one. You have maybe 3, 4, 5, or 20. And that is why you hedge against failure. Because you're putting all your life into building this thing. You must grow. If you don't grow, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. If you don't grow, you're wasting your time. You must grow. You must expand. And you cannot expand by you being everywhere. Even Jesus didn't do that. He didn't go everywhere by himself. So that's how you grow. And that's how you structure beyond the self-employment. And to structure beyond the self-employment is actually the way to become big, and the way to leverage all the efforts that you have put in building this business. So you must open up that way. And the pain is that the training that we have had, as I said, it's difficult for us to even shift from being employed in thinking to becoming a self-employed or becoming an employer. It's a series. You don't just jump like that. You start from being employed, and maybe self-employed, and then maybe an employer. And it's a series. And it's every one of them has a way of thinking. Every one of them needs different skills, different worldview. Every one of them is independent in a sense. And most of us, many people who are employed think that the employer and the self-employed are the same. It's not the same. The self-employed thinks selfishly. They think only about themselves. They don't believe anybody. They don't trust anybody. They don't open up to anybody. Everything is to them. And they talk, with the eye. They talk. Everything centers around them. If you meet the other guy who is moving from that stage to the next stage, that man is looking for talent, for gift. He's looking for who can he partner with, who can he do this thing with, who can come in to help. He's not trying to do everything by himself. No. He still has time, because his gift is to manage the different talents towards the vision. The different talents towards the vision. The self-employed does not believe that anybody has any talent at all. He thinks that he's the only one who can do it. So he must be there. So if it's 4 hours, he must be there. Everybody will wait for him 4 hours. And that's why he doesn't go anywhere. But if you have 20 people and everybody is putting 4 hours, how can you compete with you alone 4 hours? If I have 20 people and everybody is putting 4 hours, that's a lot of hours. We can grow faster and expand and take a lot of territories, because we are replicating ourselves. We are really recreating ourselves in others. So when you meet the other guy, he may be working just like I am working. Why? Because he's been trained and he's working as it's his, because it's partnership. And that is the way. So you structure. You have to shift that mind. And most people who have, the highly educated people have this challenge. It's difficult for them to think that anybody else can do it other than themselves. But the skill set you need to structure is not you are the only person who can do it. No. It's because you start to see talent in people. People are more gifted and far more. They can do it better than you. So why are you worried? Maybe your advantage is the confidence to start it and to and to keep the process going. But there are a lot of people who can do far more than you can do, even though you started that business. Maybe they can run that whole thing faster than you can run. So you think, you structure, so that all these guys, because it takes a lot of effort for anybody to build a structure. So it's not that somebody can just jump tomorrow morning and copy the structure and take you out of business. No, no, no. It takes a lot of effort to build a structure. So once your structure is evolving, once your structure is expanding, it's not just that simple for somebody else to just come and take you out. But if you're just one, anybody at all can kick you, just like that, and you're gone. And all the years that you have put into this business is gone. You've been doing this, and you think, and the thing is that here, everything that you're doing, somebody is trying to copy. And somebody else is trying to copy. People are always copying somebody. That's what we do. So that's why but nobody can easily copy the structure, because that structure evolved out of your convictions, out of the things that you see. It's really your DNA. So think beyond the self-employment. Think beyond the self-employment. So when your friends meet you, they are not, and they are saying that, oh, you have done well, you have really created a job for yourself. You tell them, no, I have employed 4 people, 5 people, and we are growing. And it's more than just employment for myself. We are really developing a skill, developing a tool, developing a vehicle that is creating opportunities, that is creating employment for people. And it's no more by me. It's no more centered on me. But now a lot of people are part of that vision. Then people start to own the vision. And that vision does not just die like that. Because people start to own it. So before it was only you. Now 20 people are there. They say that we work here. This is us. If you shut it down, we are not going anywhere. We don't have anywhere to go, because this is where we are employed. Whenever they are closing any bank, you see how people weep. They may not have started the bank, but that's what that they do for livelihood. No, that's where they come. They get up in the morning, they come to work so that they can get somewhere to eat. So when you decide, when they have structured the bank like that and you want to close it, it's painful for a lot of people, not only the owner. Because people have memories, people have development out of that, and that is a structure. That's somebody who did not think only that, oh, I just need a job for myself, so I created this business for myself. No, that's somebody who thought that this thing, even though I'm starting it, it can grow to let people come and enjoy in, and let it become big. And I think that if anybody thinks that they are thinking in terms of entrepreneurship, that is the goal. Actually, that is the goal. You must think to explode that idea beyond yourself, beyond you buying a car and building a house out of it. You must explode. And your ability is the best gift you have is for you to be able to build a structure, build a team, build a culture, be able to identify who can come there and be part of that vision. And be part of that vision, and continue to expand and continue to grow. Never stop to add value, to add number, to add growth. That's the essence of structure. That's the essence of structure. And it starts with the mind. Start with the mindset. Start with you knowing that the thing is no more around you. That is beyond you. And you provide the leadership like that. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for watching.